Well, step one to reducing risk is understanding how to reduce risk without emotions, right? Like a lot of traders when they're new, or not when they're new, when like they first get introduced to managing risk and cutting the losses short, they'll tend to think that cutting losses short is a good thing, no matter how you do it, which is not the case. Because a lot of times you get confused with managing risk with emotions and managing risk with logic. And you always want to be managing risk with logic. You always want to be following what price gives you and not what you think price is going to do. Right? Because one day you might be feeling anxious. You might be closing off a little earlier. The next day you might be feeling a bit more ballsy. And therefore, when you're a bit more ballsy, you want to hold the trade a little longer. And sometimes that might work, that might not work, right? But when you're always logical to price, you'll be more consistent. At least long term you'll be. The first week, maybe not, but over time for sure. Over time for sure, you'll be a lot more profitable. So a lot of traders, they tend to just manage risk just to say they manage risk, and we'll see. Usually I'm like, okay, well let's see how long they last with managing risk the way they do. But yeah, like that's the first step. So once you understand how to manage risk without using your emotions and rather than using price action, you can base it off of closures. Like for me, I go off of closures, right? So for instance, if you were to be in a buy here, for instance, right? If I were in some world to be in the buy here and I see that, okay, well, my stop loss is down here, for instance, and then we close below here, right? You end up closing below. Man, you close below the range, that's an indication that there's a high chance you're gonna come down to fill the range. Looking left, that's what you did in the past, right? So if that's what I see and that's what I would expect, I would assume that, okay, well, I can get out in two ways. Well, maybe one, off the rip if I don't want to take the chances, but two, I can wait for a top wick, and as you get a top wick, I can get out, right? I can look to get out at the break-even point or get out even a small win, I know, but ideally this is what you expect. So then you want to look for ways to manage risk. However, if you close respecting support here and you close somewhat like this, right? You close like this, respecting support, I'll say, okay, great, cool. The next candle, what I would expect is I would expect a price to come down, create a bottom wick. After it creates that bottom wick, you have two options. You could, one, move your stop loss to the candle low or leave it where it is. Or two, move stop to break even, let it rock. Up to you. But that's how I'll do it in that situation. But it comes down to how price closes, right?